Hello everyone! Welcome to Reddit Reactions, where real humans react and read Reddit content. Today's Ask Reddit question is, how did you force yourself to develop good habits? And this is something I personally am really interested in learning more about, because I've found myself in a situation where I'm very aware of what makes me happy. I don't have any doubts about the things that I can do to feel better. And I believe that there are things I can do every single day that always make me feel happy. The problem is that just alone knowing these things that make me happy doesn't mean I'm in the habit of doing these things. And I guess I'm still young and I'm in a phase and I should be grateful to even be aware of the things, because a lot of people aren't aware of them, right? But just because I'm aware, that doesn't mean I'm doing them. And sometimes I kind of hate myself for not doing the things that I know from experience actually make me happy. Because it's one thing to not know, to be ignorant. But once you know what makes you happy and you don't do it, I mean, it's kind of on you, right? You can't blame anyone else. So let's get into it. The first reply on how did you force yourself to develop good habits is, that doesn't sound right. How can you fear something you've never experienced so much? Maybe when you hit that switch, you realize you were born a masochist. I guess that's replying to something? I'm just gonna ignore that. I didn't get what that was replying to. This reply by Big House JD, find proper motivation and make them part of your routine. A lot of not having good habits is just not getting up and doing it. Once you're motivated to start, keep doing it regularly. It's easy to make the excuse, I don't have time for. But once it's part of your regular schedule, you'll find that you start prioritizing it over the other not so great habits. That's the thing. There's not a whole lot in my life that I actually do with that kind of regularity. I only recently just got to the point where I brush my teeth a lot more. And that's one of the ironic burdens of having a life of non-traditional work, right? Where you can spend every day doing what you want to do and what you want to work on, or what game you want to play, or what thing you want to watch, or who you want to talk to, or where you want to go. You can do any of it, right? If you don't have a traditional job, I don't have a traditional job, right? But I still definitely struggle with a lot of the same things that other people do, even though I honestly cannot say I don't have the time for it, because I have all the time for everything I want, and the flexibility to make that time. So I think what this person's getting at is that it's more about just getting in the habit of stuff. It's not really about the logic or what you tell yourself. It's about just doing it, because I have noticed that there's phases in my life where I'm quite good and quite diligent, right? I'm just not like that 100% of the time. And what I understand is that when I get sad and depressed and stuff, it's easy to be like, oh, I'm feeling this way and that's why I'm like that. But it always is because I start to neglect myself. I'd stop cleaning up, I stop eating food, I stop drinking as much water. And I'm learning to not neglect myself. But because I've been doing it for so long, it's what I kind of just fall back onto. And what's interesting as well is it happens when it's not just when bad stuff happens. Sometimes when something really good happens, like say that I do really well in work, or I make something really cool, or I earn money from something, I often get obsessive, and then we'll just do that, and then I don't eat, and I don't drink enough water, and I neglect my body in exchange for the interest in that thing that is actually good for me. But I don't have enough self-control yet to understand that, I logically understand I need to stop doing stuff while it's still something I want to do, but I haven't integrated that. And I guess that's what this guy is getting at. You can know all the stuff in the world, but if you're not in the habit of doing it, it doesn't really matter. You just have to do it. Just start. You have to get in the habit, because once you're in the habit, it's consistent, an add-on to this. I once read that if you change how you talk about things, such as rather than saying, I don't have time for, say, this isn't of importance, if you use stronger language and realize that the thing you're putting off is important, then not having time for it isn't a good enough excuse for yourself. I'm trying to do this for myself, like cleaning my room or losing weight, because I realize those things are really important to me. That is gold. Okay, anything to do with the language you speak to yourself is one of the easiest things to actually start to do that causes change in yourself. And I that's something that's helped me a lot. Because my dad died when I was like 12, right? He was super young, or I was super young. And that put me in a position where it was like, what I tell myself about this has a lot to do with what ends up happening to me. So why don't I just start telling myself good things, right? And that I found was ultimately a superpower. It's incredibly useful to realize that your own voice, hearing your own voice out loud when you speak actually affects you. And you may not be able to change what you're thinking about right now, but you can use your voice, your words right now to influence who and what you're thinking about in the future. Like who you're like, what you are in the future. You can pick the words you say that you hear, but you can't pick your thoughts. So by consistently picking the words you're telling yourself and you're rephrasing things, like anytime you complain about something, you should be like, oh, and I'm complaining. That's it. Just after you make the complaint, acknowledge you made a complaint. Realize that if you're complaining, that probably means instead of trying to fix something, you're trying to logic your way out of it and make it seem like you can't fix it. It's not your responsibility or it's impossible. And you want to avoid that kind of stuff, right? Next tip on how do you force yourself to develop good habits. Do it. Just do it. Don't let your dreams be Oh. Okay, I gotta do this in a more epic way. 1 second. I just realized this is the quote this is the thing from the Transformers guy. I can't remember his name right now. Do it! Just do it! Don't let your dreams be dreams. Yesterday, you said tomorrow, so just do it! Make your dreams come true. Just do it! Some people dream of success, while you are going to wake up and work hard at it. Nothing is impossible. You should get to the point where anyone else would quit, and you're not gonna stop. No. What are you waiting for? Just do it. Yes, you can. Just do it. And if you're tired of starting over, then stop giving up. That's a YouTube video. He does it better than I did, for sure. You probably heard of that. It's like a meme, basically. Just do it. Repetition. It may be difficult or feel abnormal or strange at first, but if you keep doing it day in and day out, it literally becomes second nature. Humans are absolutely creatures of habit. Whether those habits are constructive or destructive is up to the person. Ooh, that's gold, Pickles04. I dig it. I definitely dig that comment. I've read a lot of Reddit comments now, and some of them I'm like, I want to put that on my wall. But I gotta say, it's maybe like 1 in 1,000 comments. Next, advice. This might be a crappy way of doing it, but I force myself to look at photos of things I want. It reminds me of what I'm working on. For example, if I'm on a diet, I look at photos of myself when I was at my ideal weight, and I no longer want to grab that bad snack. That might work for some people. Some people might just feel shame though, because in general, if you're in the cycle of not doing the things that you know you should be doing or you want to do, you probably are ashamed of yourself in some way because you're aware that you're not being your effective self, right? So that might not work for everybody. But I think I get what the person's going at. Sometimes in order to do something, You have to figure out, okay, what's the situation I can put myself in that I'm gonna do that? I can give you an example. Let's talk about cooking. Me personally, I'm happier when I cook, but I have a lot of appetite issues. I'm almost never hungry, and I often have to force myself to eat food, and I don't really taste food because I'm really congested and I have a deviated septum. And yeah, that whole not being able to smell thing, like with COVID, I've been my whole way like that almost my entire life. So it really messes with my appetite. And it's hard for me to just cook because I don't give a crap about food most of the time, even though I like cooking for other people. But if I watch cooking videos on YouTube, guess what I do? Almost with certainty, after watching a couple cooking videos, I go out, buy something, and cook it. Almost every single time. So, for some reason, I can't convince myself to go out and buy stuff and cook it easily all the time with reliability. Because sometimes I just don't want to. I don't feel interested. It seemed like I have thoughts like, oh, that's a dumb idea. But if I just watch a couple cooking videos, I always end up cooking. So it's kind of funny how, for me, watching cooking videos is actually a more reliable way to get myself to cook food than going to cook. Because if I tell myself, oh, I'm going to go cook, well, we're all humans. Just because we say we want to do something doesn't mean we're necessarily going to do it, right? Life's all about how to trick yourself into doing the things that are best for you. All right, everybody. That's it for this video. If you want to make content like this, please reach out to us by going to our About page on this YouTube channel, going to business inquiries, doing a CAPTCHA code, and then sending us an email saying hello. We want to have a Zoom call with you. We are developing software that presents stuff from the internet that you can read and react to and learn from and make your own content that way. And that the goal is to be able to use this product to produce monetizable YouTube videos. The issue is that you can't just read things verbatim. You really, really have to add your own flair, add your own reaction to it. And we still aren't sure how Google stands on that. Like, say that you're making videos and half the time you are the one reading and half the time you are talking or reacting to what you're reading. As far as I understand, that's monetizable. However, say that you are just reading stuff verbatim, even though it's your own voice. If you're just reading content other people did online and you're not saying anything about it, you're not adding anything to it, that's not monetizable. And it's really up to Google and it's up to YouTube and the videos they pick to check on your YouTube channel when you try and get monetized. So this is something we have to be flexible with. And we need to develop a network of individuals who want to use this kind of tool and are open-minded about it and want to talk to us. So if you're one of those people, say hello. All right. Thanks for watching, everybody. See you next time.